Welcome to Watching the Throne.
A lyrical analysis of Drake's new best friend.
My name's Chris Lambert.
And my name is Travis Bean. And Chris, I like to think of us as the Drake and the Kanye of the podcasting world.
Yeah, why is that? Why is that, Travis?
Well, right now, we're attached at the hip, couldn't it be closer? But we've had our rifts in the past. We had a 3-year period where we didn't speak. And we just dissed each other in podcast episodes we would put out individually. But now, we're friends. We're a duo. You can't separate us.
We're going to have a conversation after the show, I think, about how you think 3 years of our time working together went.
No. Well, I guess it wasn't 3 years. It was just a 24-hour period once where Chris was mad that I thought something about a Kanye lyric that he didn't, and we had a passive-aggressive, we weren't talking about it, but then we came back and we were ready to go after that.
Sure we did. Which,
yeah,
you know what?
It was
maybe
the breathe and breathe out episode.
Maybe this is just going to kick off a whole new beef, Travis. Huh?
Maybe, but I've been so desensitized by all the conflict in the world that nothing can make me hold any sort of animosity towards you.
Oh, well, that's a relief then. So
you could say anything you want about me.
I can tell you then that I think the shoes that you just bought are a little...
It's already true, whatever you're going to say.
Yeah, they don't match your eyes very well. So that was a fail.
Yeah, they are... they're baby blue, and mine are more of a deep blue.
Yeah, and how many times have I told you? You need the deep blue shoes to match the
deep blue shoes.
The deep blue eyes.
Oh, man, now I want a pair of baby blue shoes.
You know what I want to do? I want to make this podcast new again and just start fresh.
Just move past this, yeah.
All the conversations that we've had, they don't count.
No. All of the things we vandalized in this show, he'll evangelize. It doesn't matter anymore.
That's exactly what I've been saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I've been
saying. Last episode doesn't count, and this episode doesn't count. The next episode is the one you should all be excited for.
Yeah, which is the television episode. So
oh God, maybe not. Maybe the next one.
No. Be excited for the 2-hour television episode.
I will say that people seem to hate television so much that a podcast episode about that song from us will be the best thing about television.
That is the most egotistical thing I've heard you say about this show, and I am here for it.
That's the Kanye in me.
I agree. No, maybe. Yes. We'll see.
What if we discover that television is Kanye's best song?
Right. We just uncover and we're like, this is the deepest, most undeniable song. Y'all think Runaway is good? Ha!
And what we discover convinces everybody else that it's true too.
Okay. Now we're just getting into a plot line that is nearly as possible yet outlandish as National Treasure.
Well, I hope National Treasure is possible because I would love Nick Cage to save the world by stealing the Declaration of Independence and whatever else he does in that movie.
He does so much.
I just remember it from the trailer.
What did you ever? You've never seen that movie?
Oh no, I feel like I made it sound like I haven't. I actually think those movies are awesome because they're bad shit, and I've seen them a few times.
That makes way more sense to me. I was like, wait, you're telling me that you, Travis Bean, have never watched?
Well, I didn't want to say oh, Nick Cage steals the Declaration of Independence and be like, oh, Travis knows the intricacies of National Treasure 2: Book of Secrets. That's weird. He must have seen it a few times. So I thought by saying oh, they say it in the trailer, people would be like, oh yeah, I do remember that in the trailer. And we could just get past that point.
No getting past it, because then I hone in right on it. And I remember seeing National Treasure 2 in the theaters and being like, oh no, this is bad. Which probably means you really liked it.
It's bad if you put it up against other movies that are good. Yeah. But if you just take it as it is, just this moment in time where Nick Cage absolutely loses his mind and somehow gets to star in giant blockbusters that make hundreds of $1 million across the world, you can get into the energy of it.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, it's because I remember thinking the first one was like really clever and fun, and then I went into the second one. I was like, what are they doing? What is any of this?
Chris, those two movies are exactly the same. Like, it's just Nick Cage. He just walks away and he's like, and he looks at like a coin and he's like, huh. Coin. George Washington. The coin. George Washington was born in 1796. 1796. You know, he starts like drawing all these weird connections that don't make, like, how is he thinking of all this and how are all these things connected? And then he, like, you know, unlocks a secret in America that no one ever knew about.
It's just, he has a great mind for this kind of thing. You know, he spent a year with the bees, and that unlocked this power and ability for him to see the world.
All right. We need to be made new again.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's once more make this podcast new again. And what song are we talking about today, Travis?
Television. Right?
You notice? Did you watch the stories that Ye posted to Instagram?
No, I feel bad because I'm the host of a Kanye West podcast, but I don't pay attention to anything on social media. So
as I said that, I was like, oh, I should have exposed Travis like this by asking the question.
Tell me about it. This is why I love doing the show. You tell me about these things.
Yeah. So Ye posted a few stories to his Instagram last night, which he had posted things in the past to Instagram, but not just like personal things. It was just like the 24 music video, the clip of that. But it was from being at Drake's house with Dave Chappelle and a whole bunch of people.
I did see something about that, yeah.
Yeah, and Dave says something about like Drake, and then he calls Ye Kanye. I was just like, okay. So even people that are close to him and seeing him a lot are still just like, it's Kanye. So they're not a strict, though I imagine Dave Chappelle has some leeway. He's just like, I'm going to call you Kanye sometimes. And Ye's just like, okay. But if I were to meet him and be like, hey, Kanye, he'd be like, who? And I'd be like, oh no, this is starting off on the wrong foot.
I find all that Drake stuff interesting. And I know we said that we were going to get to the song and we've been new again twice, but I have to say this, that I do think it's interesting that he's so like buddy with Drake now. And on some level, I get it because Drake's huge, you know, has a lot of influence, and Kanye and Drake working together, they can do a lot. But Kanye just, in that Drink Champs interview, just like went through and burned so many relationships. Was talking about all these people that have like said shit about him and weren't on his side. Has anyone done that more than Drake? Like Drake has like been talking about Kanye all the time, like made references to sleeping with his wife, like has done some pretty shitty things to Kanye. But because he's Drake, like Kanye's all ready to be buddy with him. I just find that kind of weird.
I think it's, from what I got from the Drink Champs interview, it seemed to be a line in terms of, okay, this is part of what's on the court, and this is like beyond the court. And it seemed like everything that he felt Drake was doing was just part of kind of like the industry stuff within the realms of what you're doing when you're competitive with one another. It didn't necessarily cross the line to being like personal betrayal in some ways. And it seemed like he felt that John Legend and Big Sean didn't quite support him. And even Kweli, in a way, as Kweli has become like very vocal about politics over the last 6 years, 7 years. Felt like those were a lot more like off the court, like personal, people selling him out. Yeah. And I guess there's maybe he would be cool with everybody too. I mean, he still did have Big Sean at Sunday service and was like in photos with them. He's still hanging out with Kweli. So it seems like even though he was like going in on them on the Drink Champs interview, that they're still like, yeah, I still like you. I want to be friends with you. Yeah. Though apparently Kweli said that Ye ended up calling him and apologizing, or they like met up and Ye was apologizing, and he wrote this big Instagram post that was very kind at first, and then at the end got a little bitter, and then was just like, anyway, apology accepted. And you're like, okay, like he handled it well. And then there was another post that just shortly after that said the ghostwriters of Kanye West, and there was just like 9 people in this like photo collage. And Malik Youssef responded, was just like, I wouldn't consider me a ghostwriter as I'm credited on all these things, and Ye can do everything that he asks other people to do. It's just he has them do it so he can do it faster. He kind of like stood up for Ye. And then there was just another post about the backpack rapper stuff that Kanye said, where he was just like, I was never actually into backpack rap. I was always into the gangster stuff, but I just used it. And Quali's like, since when have we let posers into hip hop? It's like,
yeah.
I mean,
see, this is why I don't pay attention to social media stuff. I don't need to see grown men fighting like boys. I don't care. You can't make me care about that.
Yeah. Or I'm just like, oh, what interesting gossip. How can I use this in a story one day of like friends turning on friends?
I just want to talk about WYD and HEY. I want to live 100 lives. I want to talk about Kanye.
You want to get to the song. Oh.
I want to be made new again.
Like, this is a podcast about songs. Okay. Let me get into that mindset.
Although I do like the idea of this episode never getting on track. And we never talk about the song. And that's the New Again episode. And then we just go to television in the next episode.
I would like the idea that we do that whole episode where we never actually get it going, and then we actually do it again. Like we make the New Again episode New Again, which would actually be.
We start the New Again episode saying like, well, we at first we regretted like not talking about New Again on the New Again episode, but I can't repent for every wrong I did, so we're just gonna move on and forget about it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it again. It's gonna be all right. We've seen the error of our ways, and this time we will talk about the song.
All right. And I do want to talk about the song now, but before we do that, have you seen F9, the new Fast and Furious movie?
I have not seen.
All right, that's
F9.
the end of discussion then.
Okay. So are we getting into this, or are we?
I mean, if you're ready, if there's nothing else you need to talk about or discuss.
No, I think I'm good. But
okay, I am too.
I'd like that we almost went there. Okay.
If only we had the commitment.
As I get some of the tears out of my eyes. If only we had thought about it ahead of time.
Well, the only reason I don't want to do that is we need to get through this album. Like, we cannot keep pussyfooting around. Like, it's been almost 3 months now. Like, we have to be done with Donda soon.
Yes, we do. All right. So, New Again. My name's Chris Lambert.
The song. My name's Travis Bean, and this is a lyrical. No, wait, that's all right. Let's move on.
Okay. New Again ends up being track 18 on Donda, and it is coming in the midst of what we'll call the fourth arc, the second act. So Act 1 is Donda Chant through Heaven and Hell, and Act 2 is Donda through No Child Left Behind, insofar as we're viewing it right now. But then you have these little mini arcs within each of those acts. So Donda Chant through Hurricane ends up feeling like one little arc. Praise God through Believe What I Say is the second. And in that first one, you kind of see Ye in a little more of the beginning portions, right? Establishing where he's at in his life and some of the attitude and perspective, with then Praise God to Believe What I Say starting to be a bit more of this outward criticism that he's leveling against some people in the world, and some of the ego coming in. And then 24 through Heaven and Hell is really this start of a better trajectory for Ye, to where he's actually giving up a lot of the ego and attempts to have control of his life, and let that all go to God. And by doing that, he's starting to find some redemption, some peace. The devil that has been kind of plaguing him, which has been a running motif in this first act of the album, this juxtaposition between angels and devils, and God and demons and those things. Heaven and Hell is finally this climactic moment where God wins out, the angels win out, and the devils are going to pray now. And that kicks off this whole second act, where in the first arc of the second act, you get Donda through what's essentially Tell the Vision. That then leads into Lord, I Need You through No Child Left Behind. So in this arc that we have now, Donda through Tell the Vision, it's all about this renewal, this being made new again, and what that means in the aftermath of everything that Ye has been going through, with feeling like he's jailed by society, feeling like he's in jail in his relationship with Kim and the imminence of the divorce, in jail just emotionally, maybe in some ways like spiritually, with some of the stuff that had been going like on and going wrong in terms of focus. And so Donda is this reawakening of this spirits of what made Ye so decidedly different and getting him back to his roots in a way. And you have that reinforced by Keep My Spirit Alive, and then Jesus Lord, which starts getting into this dark night of the soul where Ye confronts a lot of the things that have been weighing on him and starts looking ahead to how having Jesus come through and save you can be the thing that makes all the difference, which then coming out of that, leading into New Again, where it's like, yeah, Ye was someone that needed Jesus, and now that he has Jesus like fully there, God fully there, he is being made new again. And that's going to allow him to tell the vision and move on into all of these, like this next portion of his life. But New Again is a very climactic song, as it's essentially the payoff on this buildup of Ye looking for redemption and saving and making it through the things that have been plaguing him, the things that had gotten him into jail to begin with, and kind of forgiving himself in some ways and just saying, okay, like I can accept everything that's happened and I can move forward feeling refreshed.
Yeah, that's really a big part of it, and why this is a climactic song in terms of like the narrative of the album, and just a lot of the narrative threads and the general thematic focus of the album is the album starts with Kanye in jail, and the album continues that idea throughout, both in terms of himself feeling jailed by society, feeling that his thoughts are jailed, that he's not allowed to be himself, that he can't be like a good Christian because of the way, like just all the different ways direction society pushes him, but also he starts to look at the world and sees like, the violence tearing communities apart, the police brutality, the corruption, the people in the music industry that are trying to like get ahead of others, just all of the stuff that goes on in the world that can make not only you feel jailed, but feel like your community, your race, the people you care about feel jailed. Like it becomes bigger than himself. And that's what a lot of the album becomes for a bit, like Kanye, like looking around and having people featured on his songs that talk about, feeling jailed. And it starts to branch out from just himself. And it really climaxes with Jesus Lord, where he tells this story about this family that is torn apart by violence. And he brings on Larry Hoover Jr., who talks about his dad and how capitalism made him the man he was, and while it's not fair that he spent so much time in prison, and bringing this jail idea full circle to this moment where like you see all these people who are jailed by society and the way things are. And it's just that's really what I realized about New Again today, coming to the lyrics. The song is so focused on Kanye. Like the song does branch out, they vandalize, he'll evangelize. Like he's talking about God, like forgiving all these people no matter what they do. But really it's about Kanye. It's about Kanye being able to finally move forward from this jail that he felt he was in, not repenting for the things he's done in the past because he can be made new again, not holding himself back and being ready to move forward. And also at the same time, recognizing himself in this big giant pot where people are making mistakes and doing things and like not feeling like they can never get ahead of like, these sins they've committed, like you always can. And in that way, the song becomes communal as well. By focusing on himself so much in the song, it becomes a song that it becomes a climax for so many of those threads on the album. It becomes like a mantra for people. Like we can be made new again. Like it, just repeating it over and over. Like the song becomes powerful in that way, that it feels like Kanye finally moving on and finally being ready for this next step in his life. It's a move from like he's ready to move on from the divorce. He's ready to like be Donda's son here on earth without Donda. He's ready to carry the word of God, and he's not going to let any sins he's committed in the past hold him back. And he's hoping that that energy will translate to other people and inspire them as well.
Yeah, you can imagine this being like a very poignant song for a lot of people who are at a crossroads point in their life where they're wanting to move on from some things that have happened, but may not be easily allowing themselves to do so, to where just having this song be like, yeah, make me new again. Like, okay, I can like repent and feel like I know I'm not going to be perfect in the future, but I know I can like do better, that things will be okay, all of that. And I feel like this song resonates with a lot of people for that reason.
Yeah, it's just like it's kind of a welcome song in this album too, because the album is so dramatic in a way that like when Kanye thinks about himself and things he's done wrong or things he wishes he could have done, like it's very heavy. You know, we're talking about angels and devils. We're talking about like dying. There's like suicidal thoughts creep in. The album is so heavy with that stuff, but here, like this is to me more reflective of like how people should be about the mistakes they make. Like, God, you know, you do some dumb shit sometimes. You date around, like you date some you have some trivial relationships, but like that's okay. Like you move forward from it. You don't let it hold you back. Like just be yourself. I mean, that's the most Kanye thing about Kanye, is that he's relentlessly himself. He's decidedly different. He always moves on and like comes back around and becomes the Kanye we know and love.
Yep. He does indeed. And you can even see him like coming back around, right, when it comes to feuds that he has like with Drake. It seems like like those two will never get along again, and then you just have the video of like Drake with his arm around Ye and the two of them smiling, and then Ye just kind of yells and holds this sustained like okay, so we have all of that as the context for New Again. Should we get into, well, there was a sample on the song that ended up not making it to the final album, which, you know, maybe it's something where Ye just decided he didn't want to keep the sample. Maybe it's something where they couldn't get clearance beforehand, so removed it and then haven't bothered to get clearance to re-add the sample. But it was from the Black Sheep song, The Choice Is Yours, which maybe the title doesn't jump out to you, but I feel like it's one of those songs you just had to have heard at some point in your life where the hook's like, you can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that. It was like very catchy and kind of all over the place when I was a kid, at least for a little while, right? And so we were looking at the song lyrics specifically, and it seemed like with how New Again is sort of focused in that intro in terms of like relationship stuff, right? Kind of like flirting with somebody and what you're sending in text message, like the idea of having 100 wives. And then in that first verse where he's talking about dating this girl, and is she like, did she just want to lay him or play him in order to flex? Like, oh, did you see what I did to Kanye? Like, those kinds of things. The hook of you can get with this or you can get with that feels very relevant to a Kanye who is in the dating pool again and is specifically like having this interaction with this girl of like, are you going to date me or are you just like trying to play me? Like, what's going on? So I think that would be kind of the most superficial or easiest way of looking at why this sample was relevant. But what was interesting when we were looking at the verses, in the middle of the first verse, you have, if it's all right with you, I'll rip this one here apart, back, middle to the front, don't front, want a good time, gonna give you what you want, can I hear a hey, now get a yo, you got a hey, it's for the hoes. And I'm wondering if maybe that was a little bit of just like, can I hear a hey, now get a ho, of the inspiration for the intro of I hit you with a WYD, you better not hit me with the HEY, it better be like hi with a bunch of I's or hey with a bunch of Y's. So not quite like a one for one, but just like the idea of like, oh yeah, can I hear a hey, now get a yo, like that was something that like Black Sheep did. I'm going to do a modern version of that and just kind of like play on it, which would have been why he had the sample in here. It was just to kind of give like a little nod to where he got this intro from.
Right, because I don't think the sample was a crucial part of the production. It just came in the chorus, and there were just like some sounds from the song or some grunts or something. I don't remember what it was, but
yeah.
So definitely just could be a nod.
Yeah, just like a little like wink to anybody that recognizes those sounds, that song, and where he would have gotten the hey stuff from.
Right.
Okay, so the intro. If I hit you with a WYD, standing for what you doing, right? And just a little text acronyms. You better not hit me with the HEY. Did you used to think the word was anachronism as well?
What is it?
Acronym?
Oh, and you know what? I feel like when I spell it in like my mind's eye, I do feel like I see anachronism.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I did.
It's because people would always talk about it as like, oh, that's an acronym. But as a kid, I'd hear it as that's anachronism. And I was like, oh, anachronism. Like, what a word. Anachronism.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So you better not hit me with the HEY, which is just, that's not an anachronism. In anachronism. That is not an acronym. Oh, God. Okay.
No, it's not an anachronism.
Not an anachronism. Acronym. I'm just going to trip myself up now. Oh, no. It is an acronym. Oh, no.
Wait, it is an anachronism?
It is an acronym. Oh, my God.
So it's an anachronism.
An anachronism. Yeah.
Yeah, God, you had me convinced that I had it wrong because I was like picturing it in my head, like, oh yeah, that is how I've always pictured it, but that must not be right.
Okay, it's an. I'm so sorry. It's an. The word is.
Oh my God. I'm gonna look it up myself because you can't be trusted anymore.
The word is acronym, so there's acronym, but then you can have an anachronism. So anachronism is a word, but it's just an acronym. And I used to think it was an acronym, but it's an acronym. Okay. Yeah.
I'm glad this is what we're focusing on in this show.
All right. Make me new again. So you better not hit me with the HEY. That's low energy, right? It's just a standard, hey. Who wants to see that? You're like,
Nobody.
Hey, how are you doing today? And you just get a, hey.
Yeah.
It better be like, hi, with a bunch of eyes. Much better. Or hey, with a bunch of Ys. Which, you remember
that's
back in the day
on right there.
That is it might be the most yay line of any yay line. Is this more of a Kanye line than even like you left the fridge open, someone took a sandwich?
It might be. You just love to see it on this album again. This album is so heavy. We're coming off of Jesus Lord, which is the like heaviest song Kanye's ever done, and this is how he starts new again. I love it.
Yeah, right. Hey, with a bunch of Ys, which like it does make a difference. I like that Genius did have like an image that was like a measure of someone's interest based on how many Ys. It was just like a single Y, they hate you. 2 Ys, they might like you. 3 Ys, they want to date you. 4 Ys, they love you. 5 Ys, they're drunk. It's just like, yeah that's
sounds right.
Too many Ys, and it transcends any kind of emotion. All right. So essentially what this is all getting at is just if you're having this like text message flirting, this initial conversation with someone, like I want to see that you're excited to talk to me. I don't want to see that you're like uninterested. Otherwise, I'm going to lose interest, right? So it's just kind of getting into some of this dating stuff or just romantic, like, make me feel not new again, but excited by these things. Show me you care.
Yeah. And yes, while the romantic angle is like the most obvious and definitely makes sense after you read the first verse, one thing to remember with Kanye is that whenever he's talking about a woman, that like he might not actually be talking about a woman, or like, you don't need to read it that specifically. Like he could be talking more broadly about the idea of a relationship and what that means in your life, like these sort of metaphorical relationships you have. And I think one thing we kind of see Kanye play with on this song is that he's just talking to people just in his life, you know, who could be using him, who aren't on his level, or aren't part of his mission or whatever. So this part at the beginning, I feel like could definitely be getting at that. Like, hey, like, don't just hit me with a, hey, like, be ready to be on my level. Like if you're in communication with me, like you're part of my mission and we're going to do this.
Yeah. Like be on my level is definitely what seems to be the larger extrapolation from this, right?
Right.
And that's kind of where the verse ends up. Like I lived 100 lives, so that mean I had 100 wives, and I'm just simply high off life for the 100th time. Like that being high off life is just kind of the general, like, I'm excited. Are you excited? Let's go.
Right.
And then anybody watching the YouTube version of this might have seen me kind of making like a weird face. And that's because an ad popped up on one of the web pages I'm on. There was a Discovery Plus show that I have no idea what it was, but the tagline was just like undercover underage and showed some like woman in her late 30s and she was split, and on the left side it was just a standard woman in her 30s wearing a sweater, and then on the right side was her looking like a baby doll, like pink hair with the pigtail and a pink shirt. I was just completely befuddled by what
Is it like
was
To Catch the Predator or something?
I have no idea. I don't know if it's like a catfishing thing, or these women that are like posing as like younger than they are. So they're like under their age kind of thing. It was strange.
Whatever it is, it's probably a missed opportunity, because what a show. What's that show called again?
It's
Underage, Undercover.
Yeah, it said undercover underage.
Okay. That show should be like, you know, like an 8-year-old boy, like trying to go undercover into like, you know, a multi-billion-dollar corporation to uncover something. Like that would be an entertaining show.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know where that was going for a second, and that took a way better turn.
I think everybody listening to this show and watching it at the same time felt the way you did. Like, where is he going with this? Okay, good.
But yes, that would be, so it's like undercover boss, but with a child pretending to be an adult.
It's undercover boss mixed with baby geniuses.
Okay, that is something I would like to watch. Okay, so this show is a very serious show on a child advocate's hunt for internet predators. So bizarre
as
marketing.
Long as we're catching those guys, it's great.
Yeah, bizarre marketing, but it's good message. Okay.
They just reached a bunch of people on this show with that ad, so they did.
Yeah, right. Some free advertising right there. Pop-up ad gave them a bang for their buck. All right, so I lived 100 lives, so that mean I had 100 wives. And we were getting into the idea we were talking before we started recording of the 100 lives thing. Is that a biblical reference? Is it just this idea of like reincarnation? Like you've been reincarnated 100 times and that's why you've had 100 wives? Or the idea, right, the more metaphorical approach of you've done so much in your life that it feels like you've like lived 100 lives within this life. Which if you're looking at it that way, you can kind of start to look at, you know, each of us has in a way lived 100 lives in terms of the eras of our life, right? Like, you know, when you're a kid, grade school, like middle school's a lifetime, like high school's a lifetime, college, like all of this, you can kind of break your life into these chapters. And in each chapter, you have a wife, or you could view like wives as like just things that you love and care about and are married to for that time, like all of this stuff. But I think the broader way of taking this is that Ye is essentially just kind of grounding in this idea of I'm not going to let things get me down because things come and go. Like, I've been in these lifetimes. I've essentially died and come back. Like, I have had these people in my life that have come and gone. So, like, once again, I'm just starting life over again. And I'm going to move forward, and there's going to be a lot of this same stuff that comes and goes again, and I'm ready for it. So it's just essentially like an acceptance of the fact that instead of just viewing it as I only have this one life and I only had this one life and I've lost the love of my life and there's nothing else for me in this world, it's essentially just accepting the fact that, like, okay, yeah, like, that sucked, that ended, but I will live another life. Like, I am new again, and just kind of reinforcing that idea of things starting over again.
Yeah. It's a cool tactic, actually. Thinking about just the structure of the song, because the song will be about becoming new again and not repenting for all these things you've done, like not worrying about all these things you've done with your life that maybe you're not proud of. Like, move on, like, be ready, know you're going to make those mistakes again, and know that you'll always be forgiven. Like, just keep moving forward and keep doing good. Before we get into that idea, Kanye heightens it. He says, like, even if I've had 100 wives, like, I'm just high off life for the 100th time. Like, he's saying, like, it's not just I'm so on this level of moving on from my sins and not repenting that I'm now forgiving things I've done in my past lives. I'm just so ready to move on that, like, I'm on this level. So it's kind of cool to see him start with, like, the 100 lives up top before he gets into the life he's living. And it makes, all the relationship stuff he's talking about in verse 1, it makes it all seem like very trivial. Like, it doesn't even really matter to Kanye all this stuff is happening, because I'm just going to move on. I don't care. I'm ready for this next stage of my life. And it considering everything we've gotten on the album too, the divorce and all the stuff he does want to move on from, it's, again, kind of, it feels, it's inspirational to me. I never thought the song would be inspirational, but it kind of is in that way. Like, you're really seeing somebody who's, like, gung-ho about moving on and being ready to be made new again.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing, right? You got to the core of it, that because he's so zoomed out or macro at the end of this intro, it makes for the zoom in onto whatever's going on with this new woman that he's dating feel very marginal, very trivial, very small in comparison. He's just like, okay, so this isn't gonna work out, like, whatever. I know I'm gonna have
you're
more
trying
things.
To play bigger flex, like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna be pedantic a little bit. I don't think that Ye isn't repenting, or, like, doesn't want to repent, or is just like, fuck repenting. Like, I mean, he does say, like, straight up, I repent for everything I'm gonna do again.
Right.
So it's not that there's not, like, repentance. It's just an acceptance that he is going to make the same mistakes over and over again, and he's just going to, like, keep doing the things that he does. But I can kind of, like, I get what you're saying. Like, you can extrapolate from that this idea of, like, like, I don't feel bad, like, kind of thing from it. I just can hear people being like, but he says, I repent.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. So I guess
yes and no.
You're getting at what I really meant. And just that, like, you can't hold yourself back for forever because you did one thing, you have to move on from stuff.
Yep. And give yourself the allowance that even though you made that mistake, you might not be perfect in the future either. And you're going to have to come to an acceptance with that we're always going to sin. We're always going to have some flaws, but you can keep finding comfort. You can find solace. It's not going to ruin you each time it happens.
That is true. You're good to call that out. That would be pretty crazy if you just never repented for anything.
Yeah, right.
Like,
that's a different
okay
mindset.
With everything you ever did.
Yeah. So there's not that there's, like, no repentance. It's just an understanding of accepting flaws. And you're going to have to repent when you do those things, but it's not the end of the world when you do those things.
Right. Do.
Such a mature show that we are running today.
What am I supposed to do? Just let that slide?
That's what did you call playground monitors when you were in grade school?
God, I don't remember what we called them.
So they would always tell us, like, when you're on recess, you always have the duties that are out there, and if anything goes wrong, you need to find the duty. Yeah, I think it was like they were on recess duty, the teachers were, and they'd kind of like exchange, or so we always called them like duties. And it'd be like, oh, this duty like put me on the wall for getting like in a fight. We had to stand on the wall if you got in trouble on recess. Did you have that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And I stood there often, and kids would throw dodgeballs at you as part of your punishment. But
wait,
no.
Okay.
So they didn't think that telling a bunch of little kids who probably, there's nothing funnier to a kid than like farts and poop jokes. They told all these kids to call them duties.
Yes.
Interesting strategy.
I never thought that much of it until I was at my friend Pat's house, I remember, and Pat went to a different school. That's not like me making Pat up and being like, oh, you don't know Pat. Pat goes to a different school. It's like Pat did go to a different school. My friend in Canada. Yeah, Pat's very real. But I remember telling like his parents a story of like recess, and I was like, and then the duty like blew the whistle, and they were like, wait, what? I was like, the duty. And they're like, what? And it was Pat's parents were the ones that were laughing and cracking up at the fact that we were supposed to call them duties.
As they keep asking, like, wait, what? The duty? And you should have been like, yeah, a pile of shit.
Could you imagine? Could they even get mad at me? Like, what a great joke by a 6-year-old.
A long joke? Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
I mean, a duty was a pice of shit, I remember, okay, last thing, and then we'll make it new again and get back to the show. I remember, this is going to date me a little bit, but I think I was in 3rd grade or 2nd grade, and during recess,
which would have been 89?
No. It was like 93, 94.
All right, I'm not trying to call you out on your actual age, Chris. Whatever age you want to make up, whatever makes, just go for it.
I was born in 87. Sure.
Yeah, of course you were.
So, yeah, what a weird age to pick to try to, like, lie about. Instead of being like, oh, I was born in 91. No, 87. But it was, like, 93, 94. And it was in the middle of recess. And the duty, like, blows her whistle until all of us, like, kind of stop. And she has a fucking bullhorn. Just like an actual like megaphone, and she holds it up and goes, O.J. Simpson has been declared innocent. And I remember like all of us at Clinton Elementary School, like 2nd and 3rd graders, no, it was all 3rd graders, like on recess. And when she declared that, all of us just kind of like applauded. And
applauded.
And that was
good
like
for him.
We cheered, and then we went back to like running around trees.
Wow, that's bizarre. By the way, you said you went to Clinton Elementary.
Yeah,
is that named after Bill Clinton?
No.
Okay, because I was gonna say that school. Right. I'm trying to figure out the year thing still.
Clinton became president in 92.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
No. It was well established.
Seem possible to me.
Well established. I think it was after Ebenezer Clinton.
Not George Clinton?
No, don't think that. Actually, I mean, it might have been, but definitely not after Bill.
I think we should name schools after George Clinton more than we should name them after Bill Clinton or his wife.
No, that seems fair to me. As a kid, I used to say Clinton. I used to like enunciate the T, and I got in an argument with a girl in 4th grade who was like, no, 5th grade, Kristen Smith. She was just like, there's no T, it's Bill Clinton. It was Bill Clinton. And I was like, it's Bill Clinton. She's like, no, there's no T. It's Clinton.
Wait, what? Hold on. It sounds like she's still saying the T.
She was saying Clinton. Clinton.
So no T would be just N-O, like Clinton.
Yeah, that's how she was saying it, like Bill Clinton. And that's how people would also, like, I grew up in Canal Fulton, and people would say Canal Fulton. They wouldn't say the T, they'd just say, like, Fulton. So.
I've heard people say Illinois, and I'm like, that's not right? You have to know that's not right.
I remember a period being a kid where I was like, Illinois, and somebody burst that bubble one day. Okay, make me new again. We're making the show new again, once again. So we start off with verse 1. Oh my God. Never let nobody curve me that don't deserve me. So to curve means to like kind of reject, but in a like not outright manner, right? So if you're curving someone, you're kind of like just moving them away from you in a kind of roundabout way, in gentle rejection kind of way. So it's like, hey, do you want to go out with me? Maybe say Thursday. It's one thing to be like, no, I would not like that. That is not curving. It would be like, well, I'm going to see some friends on Thursday, so can't do that. Okay, what about Saturday? I have plans on Saturday. Okay, what about Monday? I'm going to have to check my calendar and get back to you. That kind of thing. That's kind of like curving someone.
Yeah. He talks about curving in Keep My Spirit Alive.
Yeah, that's right. Because I was like, this sounds familiar.
Yeah. At the end of the third verse, when he's talking about how I'm 42 and you got a curfew, how nerves dictate how they're going to curve you, he starts getting into this whole story about how like this person isn't present in the studio because like someone's dictating like when they have to come home, something like that. It's also like a relationship-y kind of thing. So that seems to be how Kanye's using it.
Yeah, we talked about how this song seems like it's dating a little bit since Ye is 44 at this point in 2021, which make it seem like he started this in like 2019.
That's right.
Or is just reminiscing about like a time in 2019 when he's in the studio, and essentially you imagine Kim would be like telling him you have to be home at this time. And he's like, how am I 42 years old and like you have a curfew for me? Like that I have to get home by. No. Okay, so yes, second time on the album, he has used curve. So never let nobody curve me that don't deserve me. Essentially, he's not going to let someone play games with him who doesn't deserve him. He's not going to like allow them to waste his time, and he's definitely not going to waste his time on that. And then he goes from that into, should I really have bought the Burberry last Thursday? So it starts to set up this idea that you can see that he's starting to feel like this girl is starting to curve him maybe a little bit, and it makes him question buying her something from Burberry just last week. It's like, should I have really done that given like how things are going? So a little second guessing is how I'm taking that.
By the way, when I was a kid, well, I guess when I went to college, there was always this Burberry scarf in our basement that was just like, it was loose. Like it belonged to nobody. It must have belonged to my mom or something, or I don't know.
A feral Burberry scarf in your house?
It was, because no one had claimed it, and I needed the scarf as I was going off to college. And I was like, and I had no fashion sense, because like I don't think I'm going to be wearing an outfit that would work with a Burberry scarf, but I wore it anyway. Just because I needed a scarf. And so many people would be like, oh, you have a Burberry scarf. And I was just like, I never knew what it meant. Like I had literally zero fashion sense, still don't to this day. And to the point where like, because I knew it was a popular item, like I stopped wearing it, because I was like, I don't think I am the kind of person that should be wearing something that people recognize as like a fashionable piece of clothing.
Wow, that is a whole therapy session.
Like, that's one therapy session.
Right, like, Travis, you can wear Burberry. You deserve to wear Burberry.
It's really okay. Not. It's not very Kanye of me to do that, but I did.
You were good enough to wear Burberry. No, I understand that, though. I remember being back in college, and a friend that definitely came from a wealthier background than me, gave me like a polo shirt. And I never worn like a polo shirt. Like the nicest thing I owned at that point was like Abercrombie. And I remember like walking around and having like the polo logo on and just being like, oh, what does this say about me that I have like a shirt with a polo logo on? Like, am I this kind of person? Can I get away with this? If somebody could come up to me and be like, fraud, like fraud.
On a college campus, it doesn't mean much. It could mean that you're rich, or it could just mean that you pound beers every Friday.
Yeah, right. Right. So Burberry last Thursday, I bought a Burberry scarf at one point and then promptly moved to Texas and have never needed to use it. Wear a different color jersey every Thursday. So this is one of the classic Ye lines where he doesn't provide a subject pronoun at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't say I wear a different color jersey every Thursday, or she, you, him, her, whoever. If he said her wear a different color jersey every Thursday, that would be strange. But you don't know exactly who he's talking about. So there could be somebody that says like, oh, this is definitely about Ye, and he's just announcing that he wears a different color jersey every Thursday. Or it could be him describing this woman. Like, she's curving him. Like, he kind of regrets buying her this Burberry last Thursday. She wears a different color jersey every Thursday. And what that would be is this idea that there's not a sense of loyalty, right? Because usually you wear the jersey of your team, and that's the same color all the time, right? So if you're, say, going to pick a team at random here, a Cleveland Browns fan, you would always be wearing like the Cleveland jersey, right? Which is typically like brown, orange.
Which, unfortunately, the two colors of the Cleveland Browns are brown and orange. Like, are you okay with that as a fan?
Yes. Yes. Or white. You know, they have a white jersey too that also has brown and orange.
It's brown and orange.
So you would do that. But because she has a different colored jersey every Thursday, that would make it seem like she has no loyalty to any one team, which you could extrapolate to she has no loyalty to a single guy, which would mean that she's essentially not just dating Ye, but dating like several other people.
Or that she just puts on a different personality for whatever situation, like puts her ahead with Kanye or puts her ahead of whatever group or setting she's trying to get ahead in.
Yeah, essentially just she's a chameleon. She's not necessarily loyal to any one like identity or thing. So it's just characterizing her a little bit in the situation of someone that he's trying to date, which shows that it's probably a little complicated. There's also, if you want to take it as like Ye wears a different colored jersey every Thursday, you could view that as a little bit of a throwback to the hip hop days when jerseys were just all the rage, like all the rage. Like it was such a crucial part of hip hop culture for a while, just to wear like different team jerseys, and you'd also have the outfit kind of matching the jersey color. It was a whole thing. So it could be just a contrast between like this girl's wearing Burberry while Ye's wearing jerseys, and just showing that he's a little more like grounded and amongst the people, while she's a little more like snooty. So
yeah, that would make sense.
I take it.
Just thinking of it as like a Throwback Thursday kind of thing, and he's talking about like his past self, like that connects pretty well. Yeah,
I think I lean personally more towards just liking her wearing different jerseys and the idea of like a lack of loyalty, but that's not me making it objectively like that's a stronger reading. It's just me being like, I kind of like that reading more. I think both are like pretty valid and just get at the same kind of thing, that there's conflict in this relationship.
I like the reading that it's both things, because that makes it more complex. It makes me happy.
Perfect. And then we go from that to supposed to meet in Malibu, you posting pics in Jersey. And Malibu and Jersey are not near each other. Malibu is, of course, just outside of Los Angeles, and Jersey is, of course, What do they say? This isn't me saying this. The armpit of America. So
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But East Coast.
And Florida's the droopy dick.
Yes.
Oh no, is that something I shouldn't do on YouTube? I don't remember.
No, it's fine. It's just I was imagining it was just a very graphic I'm just
trying to remember all the nicknames we give states. I mean, there are a bunch of other ones I could have gone into. The Florida was just the first one that popped in my head.
Of course. My mom's side of the family is from Jersey, so right, like I love Jersey. Yeah. Don't be like, hey, I'm from Jersey, I'm gonna like fight you. Don't you disrespect Jersey? Love Jersey.
Absolutely.
But armpit. I remember
you live in an armpit.
I remember I flew into the Newark airport one time instead of either of the New York airports, and I had to take the train from Newark into Penn Station. And as we're on the train driving like on the outskirts of Newark, the city, and getting closer to it, I was starting to like see some of the city side, like buildings are coming up against the tracks. So you can kind of see like down some streets into some apartments, into the back, like patio yards of some of the apartments or houses. And there was one stretch that looked like a junkyard. It was just like all this garbage, old cars, like scraps. But then a guy in a cowboy outfit on a horse riding full speed and kind of like keeping up with the train. And me just in complete disbelief about like whatever the hell was happening. Like, what is that dude's story? I wanted to kind of pull on the emergency stop and just get out of the train and be like, excuse me, I'm writing a book about you as of right now and need to know everything. Like,
did you was this the age of the internet? Could you go find out what the hell that was?
Yeah, this was like 2013, 2014.
Like you could probably find a story about this guy.
The Horseman of Newark? I hope so. Anyway.
Or you just name him and, you built the lore.
Start a blog about him and just make up stories. I saw the Horseman again today. I saw the Horseman. I saw the Horseman again today. Like there's a difference between a horseman and a horseman. Yeah. Actually, there's an anime that I love that starts with, was it a dream or a reality?
Which one was that?
Escaflowne.
Oh yeah. You had me watch that one.
Did I?
Yeah. It's yeah, I remember watching it, but I don't remember anything about it.
Perfect. Beautiful. All right. So supposed to meet in Malibu, you posted pics of Jersey. I remember when the song came out, I'm kind of proud of the Genius annotations because when the song first came out, I remember seeing some of the Genius annotations on it just being like, the song is about Ye dating who was it? I already forget.
Irina Shayk?
Yeah, Irina Shayk. And like around this time, like she was spotted in New Jersey and maybe, but I don't know. It seems like so general to me that I'm glad it's kind of fallen out that they're trying to specifically say that the song's about Irina Shayk, but that was the first person that Ye was kind of dating in the aftermath of Kim, at least due to rumors, right? They were never actually officially together. There was never anything like necessarily connecting them romantically, and not just anything you could point to and be like friends.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just getting more into like the distance in this relationship, right? Why Ye's questioning about should he have bought her the Burberry last Thursday, because like, yeah, they're supposed to meet in Malibu and she's posting pics in Jersey. You got to imagine like what excuse she's going to have. Like, oh, sorry, I meant to come out, but my private plane got canceled. And then Ye says, is it to lay me or play me a bigger flex though? So yeah, like what gets you more clout? What can you kind of brag about more to your friends, that you like slept with me? And that's just kind of this superficial physical win, or that you actually played like with my heartstrings. You got my hopes
Right.
up, like you made me look like a fool. Is that the bigger flex? Like which one is it? So it kind of gets at this dichotomy between, you know, was this just sex, or was this something where you just like played with my heart?
Yeah. And again, if you want to like play it up on a level more than a relationship, you could look at all these lines as just like, is someone with you or are they not? You know, are these people like part of like what you're striving to do in this industry as just like an icon, a cultural icon? Are they looking to do good in the world, or are they just like using you, like trying to build up their own personal power, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah. How real or fake are they?
Yeah.
And then he follows that up with, because you know you'd never live up to my ex, though, which, ooh, that's kind of the thing. Like in multiple ways, there's just the idea of like saying that anyone that Ye might date is going to, it's going to be hard for them probably in some ways to feel like, oh, am I going to be able to live up to Kim Kardashian? Like, I'm not as popular as her. I'm not as like well known. I don't have like the appeal that she has or any of that. Like, or even just not just what other people know of Kim, but the fact that, you know, Ye was like in love with Kim as much as he was, the fact that they have so many kids together, like there's a lot of baggage there that can be hard for anybody that's trying to be the next romantic partner of Ye to kind of have to, they'd feel easily burdened by that, like having to live up to or try to outdo like Kim. But then it's also saying that like Ye might also just be like, yeah, like you, and it's going to be hard for any of you to live up to my ex. Like, you know, I might not ever find anybody that measures up to like Kim, and I don't know then if I'll ever be able to like take anyone seriously again, because like how can they measure up to her?
Yeah, it definitely could be that like nobody would ever be able to recreate what I had with Kim, which is probably inherently true. Like what you have with somebody, especially when you have 4 kids with them and all that we know about them, like so much has happened between them. It made Kanye, and all that stuff has made Kanye who he is in a way that like you know, you, whatever random woman it is, like you could never replicate that. But he could just also be specifically talking about this woman or this kind of woman who like, if you want to live up to my ex, like you've got to be real, you know, you have to be somebody who completes me, who like pushes me, who is there for me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you're not like playing these games, you're not curving and flexing. Like, so you could view it as like an extrapolation of like any woman or just like this specific woman. He's essentially saying like, you're just trying to use me. Well, guess what? Like, I never was taking you seriously either.
Which is great. Like, it's a weird, this kind of moment, it happens a lot in this album where you're like, this is a gospel album, and kind of like this stuff he's talking about, it's weird. But it's also just like, it feels like an important moment for his character on this album, that like, he's not going to put up with this bullshit. Like, I've been through so much and I've had such great love in my life that like, I'm not going to go back to just like dealing with trivial shit like this. Like, I need somebody who cares about me. And it is this moment of like, he is being made new again. Like, he's not going to relive, you know, he's just not going to have anything trivial in his life. Like, he wants something real. He wants to build a new life. And that's a big part of this album, is him moving on from things.
Yep. And if we dive, it's a deep end, baby. Let's go. I'll be gone by the weekend, baby. XO. So essentially, like, if we dive, it's a deep end. So if I'm going to do something, like if I'm going to get into it with someone, like it's the deep end. Like, we are going like all in. It's going to be serious. None of this like superficial stuff. It's not going to stay shallow, right? And that's why it's kind of like, if we dive, it's the deep end, baby. Let's go. Like, we're either doing this or we're not doing this, which I don't think, I mean, it might be an ultimatum to this girl, but it also seems like things with this girl are probably done. It might just be him kind of saying like to any girl moving forward, you know, it's a deep end or nothing at all. Let's go. But then he like contrasts that by saying, I'll be gone by the weekend, baby, XO. So like essentially like, oh yeah, we're all in, we're gonna do this, but actually I'm gonna leave. Like, I'm not taking any of this too seriously. Like, see ya, XO. And you have some clever like double entendre there, as like the Weeknd, his record label is XO, and you kind of have like the XO associated with Weeknd. So it's a little bit of a callback to Weeknd, but XO is also usually how people that are in romantic relationships or like flirting will sign off a letter to somebody that they care about, right? XO stands for hugs and kisses. So like, I'll be gone by the weekend, baby, XO. That's essentially him just like signing the letter and saying goodbye to this girl. So you have a little bit of that, like, I'm ready to commit, except I'm not, peace.
Yeah, right.
To it, where he's just gonna like keep enjoying the being single. And I think why you could view that as him officially like telling this girl he's gone, or just view it as like this is how he's kind of like taking relationships at this point, like a little like they're serious but they're also non-committal.
Yeah, it does also make me think of Jesus Lord. And while this line is a lot heavier in Jesus Lord, I think it kind of connects, where he says, lately I've been losing all my deepest friends, and lately I've been swimming on the deepest end.
Oh yeah.
And just this idea that, like, you know, swimming on the deepest end, he's somebody who like takes risks, who really goes for it, who goes to these, he'll do things that most people won't do, and in that way you kind of live on the deep end, like you take risks. Like, I almost feel like that line is kind of getting that in some way. Like, you can never live up to my ex though. Like, I go to the deep end, so if you're going to be with me, like, you have to be able to swim on the deep end with me, and if not, I'll be gone.
Yeah, that's very true. There is that something to like, my life is something else, so like you better be ready, which is what he gets into in the second verse, right? If you take the ride, please don't close your eyes. It's a roller coaster. Keep your hands inside. So that's kind of reinforcing that idea. If we dive, it's a deep end. Like, this stuff is like immense and it's serious. And yeah, on Jesus Lord, that there's that risk factor to it, that sense of something can go wrong. You can drown. These are the waters you're playing in. And in a relationship, that also applies, right? And that can be exciting, and it can also be really scary. But I think this relationship starts, or this verse at least starts with Ye in this position of like, he's kind of at her whim. She's the one that kind of has some of the power in the dynamic, and it ends with him feeling like, no, I got the power.
Yeah, right. Classic.
And then on Genius, somebody tries to argue that this is a reference to a Travis Scott song called Pray for Love. Specifically because the first verse on Pray for Love ends with, it's the weekend, we off the deep end, you need to pray for us. So just having that like weekend, deep end, and this has, it's the deep end, I'll be gone by the weekend. Also, Weeknd is the featured artist on Pray for Love. So it's just like, oh, you have that line. It's kind of an interpolation of that line. Weeknd's on that song, and like, maybe it's too vague, I think, for us to be like, that is clearly what Ye is doing here. Especially because like Weeknd and deep end are just kind of an obvious rhyme, and not necessarily such a specific rhyme that you're like, oh, it has to be connected. It's just like, if you're rhyming weekend with someone, with something, you want a double E sound at the beginning and then an end sound at the end, and there's not as many options out there. Right. It's just like, deep end is one of the best rhymes with Weeknd, and one of the most obvious. So potential connection, And then the song, like, praying for love, like, don't pray for love, say it loud, just ask the lonely, pray for who lost, they fade and die too young, pray for the ones I hate, the ones I love, pray for my liver when I'm off in this club, I pray that the demons go away, they haunting us, I can't take no more of this lifestyle we've been living. That song does have lines that kind of fit with the Donda aesthetic, and this idea that we're talking about on this song specifically of it being at, like, Ye looking to move on in the aftermath of the divorce, starting to date again. He would be somebody that's praying for love. Like, I think you could start to make an argument about the connection, but I just don't know if it's a strong enough connection that we would back it.
Yeah, it's more just general connections, and I think usually when we see interpolations on this show, like if he's interpolating a Lauryn Hill song, like, it's integral to the theme and meaning of a song. And this seems just more like if Kanye is interpolating Travis Scott, it's kind of just like done lackadaisically. Like, it's not something that's like helps you understand something or opens an idea in the song up. So it's tough to say that Kanye did this consciously. Maybe he did, but if he did, it isn't that interesting.
And then
Sorry,
Gone, sorry, but maybe not. Caveat. And then Weeknd does have a song called Gone that's from the 2011 like mixtape called Thursday. So that came out in the aftermath of Trilogy. So Trilogy,
that would have been
it came
2011.
It came out before Trilogy. When did Trilogy?
Yeah,
come out?
because the mixtapes came out and then they became Trilogy when they put them all together.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I remember listening to those like as they come out. I was so excited to listen to the new Weeknd mixtape.
Yeah, I remember when Trilogy came out, but I always just knew like House of Balloons. I don't think I remembered Thursday and Echoes of Silence being like the other names. Okay. Maybe I don't remember Trilogy. I remember House of Balloons coming out. That's what I remember. That's what I was listening to.
I don't know when Trilogy became like, because I do remember at some point seeing Trilogy on Spotify. I was like, oh, they combined all the mixtapes, but I feel like that was years after the mixtapes came out.
It was, I'm on Wikipedia now. It came out November 13th of 2012, and House of Balloons came out March 21st, 2011. So a year and a half after.
Huh.
But
I don't remember them being grouped as a trilogy way back then, but I guess they were.
Yeah, the last so Thursday came out in November of 2011, and then Echoes of Silence came out December. So okay, but Gone is on Thursday, and Gone is essentially like a typical Weeknd song lyrically when it comes to like he's in a relationship with a girl and it's sexy but also broken. And that's essentially like, I got you, I got a hold of you, you said you out to see how we roll, well then take a seat, break it, drop it, drink it, spill it, baby, touch your body, you gotta taste it, feel it, I've been on it, baby, don't you worry, you gotta keep up, because I've been gone. And then essentially this idea of being gone starts to have a double meaning in terms of him being gone off of like drink and drugs, but then also him being gone in terms of his relationship with this girl. Like he's actually kind of just leaving.
Yeah. Right.
So, I mean, I don't know if Ye would also be, I mean, he does say I'll be gone by the Weeknd, baby XO, which seems like a more direct shout out to the song. Or it might just be there's no shout out to a song and he's just cleverly referring to the Weeknd and EXO.
Right.
I don't know how much Ye has listened to the original Weeknd mixtapes, you know, but he has referenced stranger, more esoteric things on his albums than Trilogy. But if you're viewing it that way, it's just, this idea of like, he's also going to be gone from this girl. It kind of reinforces that, which that song actually, it's weird to think that anything the Weeknd has done predates Yeezus, because I always think of like Yeezus as being like older now and the Weeknd being like a post Yeezus artist in some ways. But like those mixtapes came out 2 years before Yeezus.
Yeah.
But Hold My Liquor is a song that kind of reminds me of the energy that Gone has, where it's just like drugs, like talking to this girl, kind of trying to woo her, but then at the same time knowing that you're going to leave her behind. And that's exactly what's kind of happening in the verse on Hold My Liquor. Ye shows up drunk at this girl's house and wants something with her, while also knowing that like he's not going to stay. He was just looking for someone to give him solace for a night, but he's not actually looking to have a meaningful relationship with the girl on Hold My Liquor, which is why like I'm Back Out My Coma has that duality to it. So when you first hear it at the beginning of the verse, it's him waking up, like I'm out of my coma from like drinking. But then at the end, when he's out of his coma, it's the coma of thinking that he's going to like fall in love and have this like relationship with this girl. Like, no, he's waking up from that and he's bouncing.
Yeah. I definitely think of The Weeknd as kind of one of those post 808s artists, because while like this does predate some of the stuff you'd hear in Yeezus, it wasn't like Kanye wasn't doing that kind of stuff on 808s and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I feel like that's a big reason why, with the latest album The Weeknd had, I don't know, After Hours. I was completely blanking on the name of it. He's gotten really good at playing, I think, what Kanye had mastered years ago, and painting a woman as like this part of yourself and your relationship with music, and just your relationship with yourself, really, and you becoming a new person. And he's really done well with that. But he was definitely doing that kind of stuff back then. As we can see here with Gone, like there's so many implications about himself on that kind of song that he was clearly influenced by, like 808s and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. So it's not that crazy that Kanye could have been inspired by The Weeknd as well.
Right. So regardless, like maybe an interesting like nod to that, but also not like a needed interpolation that's going to open up your understanding of the track. It just kind of reinforces the idea that Ye's like, see ya. And then we go from that to the next section, a pre-chorus, where Ye says, most insane out-of-body experience, which we don't necessarily have a reference for that. Like, is the most insane out-of-body experience like the relationship he was just talking about, and that felt like an out-of-body experience, just something that's kind of like unreal? Or is he just saying that everything that he's been doing recently has felt like an out-of-body experience, or that he's like currently having an out-of-body experience that's a continuation of him saying, I'm high off life for the 100th time, right? And being high off life is the most insane out-of-body experience.
I feel like that's what it is. Like, man, my life has just been like, and we all see it. He's Kanye West, the media's covering it. We see everything going on in his life. We know he's going through a divorce. What he's gone through has felt like an insane out-of-body experience, and I feel like this is just like a real moment, like a meta moment where he's just like recognizing it, and we're just there with him as he's recognizing it. But it's not like presented in a bad way. It's just like, man, things are crazy right now, and it's kind of carrying it. It's pushing the energy of the song and making it go up and up.
Definitely pushing the energy. Yeah. And good old Goose Montana on Genius makes the connection between most insane out-of-body experience here and the lyrics on St. Pablo, where Ye references having an out-of-body experience. Well, he doesn't reference having it. He hopes that he will have one. Yeah. So in the second verse of St. Pablo, he goes, I've been woken from enlightened man's dream, checking Instagram comments to crowdsource my self-esteem. Let me not say too much or do too much, because if I'm up way too much, I'm out of touch. I'm praying an out-of-body experience will happen so that people can see my light. Now it's not just rapping, or no, it's not just rapping. God, I have humbled myself before the court, dropped my ego, and confidence was my last resort. I know he got a plan. I know I'm on your beams. One set of footsteps he was carrying me when I turned on the news and they was burying me. One set of footsteps he was carrying me when I was negotiating with Apple. It was Larry and me. Told Tim Cook to call me. I was scary to see. Okay, I'll stop. But In that case, he was just like praying he would have an out of body experience, so other people would like connect with him, feel him, like see his light is how he puts it, and know that like rapping is not the only thing that defines him, that there's more going on. So maybe this is a self-aware continuation of that. Like I have now, or am in now, the midst of an out of body experience, and this is showing the light to the people, and I'm going to accomplish everything that I hoped to accomplish that shows people like it's beyond rap for me.
Right.
Which Donda, I think, has done. That was another thing with St. Pablo. We talked about how him talking about you're looking for the church in the night sky was essentially him saying, how do I incorporate, oh yeah, and you wonder where is God in your nightlife? Like the nightlife being a metaphor for Ye's celebrity and his career, not like all of the outward facing things rather than the personal. Because plenty of artists, plenty of like superstars know how to bring God into their personal life, into their home, into their families, and they keep it separated. They keep their faith and religion separated from their public facing, right? They may like thank God at times, but they don't go into it the way that Ye has decided to go into it over the last few years. And in St. Pablo, he's wondering, how can I bring God and faith into this, like into my music, into my like celebrity world? How can I make it part of what I'm doing? And on Donda, he is doing that. So maybe he's making that connection and kind of bringing things full circle from some of the St. Pablo, or maybe he's just like disconnectedly referring to a similar concept of the out-of-body experience.
Yeah, I like that.
And then here, and I repent for everything I'm gonna do again. Which is just, that's also a very Kanye line. I repent for everything I'm gonna do again. Like, I know I am going to keep like saying the wrong things and making some mistakes and maybe making the same mistakes, but I repent for the things that I've already done, and I'm already pre-repenting for the things that I will do again. So there's this, I feel like there's this balance that kind of achieves, right? Like, I know I am going to fuck up, but I am also going to like find a way to make good on it and repent for it, and like find myself in a better place, in a good place in the aftermath of everything. So it doesn't mean that everything will forever be good, but it does mean that you are going to make amends and make things good again, the same way that God will make you new again.
Yeah, it's an important thing to realize in life, that you can't be perfect to that, and that you make the same kind of mistakes a lot because they're just part of who you are, and it takes a long time to overcome something like that. You can't beat yourself up about stuff like that.
And we've kind of talked about this, about how like Ye on the last few albums has been kind of going through a similar thought of fucking up at the early part of the album and then having a breakthrough and being a better place by the end of the album, which is kind of what we see on The Life of Pablo, Ye, Kids See Ghosts, Jesus is King, and now this. And on the one hand, you could kind of be like, why does he keep like making the same mistakes, or like falling prey to ego and falling prey to like not being humble or getting angry, like all of these things. It's like, yeah, because you're never going to be perfect. Like, and at a certain point, you understand that as much as you want to be perfect, the human element is too strong, and humans are humans for a reason. So you're going to probably continue to mess up in ways, and just you have to continue to know that you'll make up for it and do better and accept that. Repent. So we get that line, and I repent for everything I'm going to do again, which then moves into the chorus, like, thank you for your mercy, which definitely mercy in terms of like, you know, I've messed up and you are showing me mercy and grace. Thank you. And then that leads to make me new again. I repent for everything that I'm going to do again. Make me new again. And just this idea of, like, forgive me, allow me to transcend the mistakes that I've made, give me a fresh start. And this is important in an album that starts with jail and ends with Well, it doesn't end with come to life, but you know what I mean. It's the last verse on the album where he says, when I'm free, I'm free. Mm-hmm. And Make Me New Again is part of that journey, right? That journey towards freedom, that journey to being out of jail, moving past the sins that you have committed. You can even put this in context to, as you were saying, like the Larry Hoover Jr. portion on Jesus Lord is such a literal way of looking at all the figurative stuff that Ye is talking about on this album, where Larry Hoover ended up like committing these crimes, right? Getting sent to jail, but also having his jail sentence extended in ways, and maybe as people are arguing, unfairly extended in ways, to the point where he's not allowed to be given mercy. He's not allowed to be given another opportunity. He's not allowed to start a new life and try and do better, which is essentially what Larry Hoover Jr. and supporters are asking for. Give Larry Hoover a chance after 50 years in jail to do better, to start new again. And I think Ye is kind of in a similar spot, not in like in the same way, but that's kind of the metaphorical way or figurative way of the situation of just like, yeah, you are in jail, right? As we talked about up front, in your relationships, in your like celebrity, but through God, you're hoping to be made new again and have those things forgiven and have second efforts to try and like do better, do right. And you're going to make mistakes, but you can also continue to improve.
Yeah. This is why Kanye's so good at making gospel music in a way that I think is very accessible for people, because this idea of Make Me New Again, like the Sunday service choir comes in here, it suddenly carries this very godly energy. And despite, you know, the song so far, just him talking about this woman who's annoying in his life and like him having 100 wives and living for the 100th time, like, when you think about what he's really talking about, being made new again, becoming someone new, when you think about the Larry Hoover stuff and the reality that's presented on the album, the spirituality aspect is so infused into all of that. Becoming new again, forgiving people for their past sins, like allowing people to move on to become new again. It is very spiritual. It's something like God grants us, and it's the kind of energy Kanye's trying to infuse into society with these songs, with the sound of these songs. So this chorus really hits in that way. Like it feels like such an integral part of the album in that way.
Yep. And he concludes the verse then with "Last night don't count, this morning don't count," which
I say that all the time.
It's such a Ye line as well. It makes me even think back to like No Church in the Wild, right? Where he's just like, it's that morning of like the sun's coming up and he's just like, man, last night was mad real. Like things got a little like wild, they got depraved, like we were partying, and essentially just being like, somebody just pulled into our driveway and now they're turning around.
That happens sometimes.
Do you ever do that? Like you pull into somebody's driveway, turn around, and you're like, there's no way they're looking at the window right at this one moment that I'm doing this.
I think the opposite and think they are definitely staring at me, and I make it as quick as I can.
You just wait for the door to open and them to like come out with the shotgun. Yeah. Like, oh no.
Hey, motherfucker.
But you know, Ye often in songs like kind of relates things back to like going to the club. You just think about all the stuff on Yeezus, right? So I think he often thinks about things in terms of like the party the night before, and him just saying like last night don't count, this morning don't count. It's kind of like, yeah, like what we did over the weekend, what we did that was kind of like sinful doesn't count. I've been made new again by God. But that's like the superficial, like funny way of looking at it. The more deep extrapolated way of looking at it is just the past, right? Last night and this morning are like the immediate past, but they're still the past. And it's like you can move on from these things that you've done and find forgiveness, not just in the old things that you've done. Like 10 years ago, I was mean to my grandma. Like you can forgive yourself for that, or can you? And then the things that you did recently, like, oh, I was kind of a dick last night to my friend because we were partying and I got mad at something. Like that doesn't count. And even the stuff that you did this morning, that doesn't count. It's like this immediate like build up to a forgiveness, and like, yeah, even the recent things don't count, because the moment God makes you new again, you are made new again. And like, forgive yourself.
Yeah. I guess he could be specifically talking about this woman too. He was with her last night and he wakes up for this morning, even though she's not like the right woman for him. Oh, yeah. And him almost saying like, you know, it doesn't count. Like she won't live up to my ex, and I know that, and you could just be okay with that. Like you could just still live your life and still have, you know, your sights set on something. You still have your mission. You don't have to just like be tied down because you did this one dumb thing.
Yeah, and I mean, you could even make that more specific, right? Like when we slept together last night, that didn't count. Like when we slept together this morning, that didn't count. Like, you know, we're moving on, which would be such a contrasting energy from like, you know, thank you, Lord, for showing mercy. Like make me new again. By the way, when we banged, like that didn't count. But this song is such like a balance of the spiritual and the like relationship stuff that I can kind of see it, but then also just like, yeah, like the more general, like the time that he spent with this woman, like that's now like erased. He's moved on. She's a wife now of a past life.
Yeah. I mean, all of that carries even more weight and feels more legit, thinking that Lord, I Need You is coming up, and he's going to talk so specifically about Kim. And this relationship definitely contrasts everything he talks about in that song, you know, the depth and meaning of their relationship. It's just, it really makes this woman on the song seem trivial, and like these relationships he has in his life, like that stuff doesn't matter. Like they happen, but you can't let it like define you. Like the things that define you are, you know, the Kims of the world, the people that have shaped me.
Yep. And then verse 2 starts with, if you take the ride, please don't close your eyes, which, you know, you can start to get into the nuance of ride.
I didn't even think about that.
I mean, not in like, I don't mean that in like the, I now was not trying to make that, but just like ride in the sense of something that's like short term.
Like Fast
and Furious.
Like
you're on a ride. Oh. Yes. Like you're on a ride for only a brief, like you don't live on the roller coaster, right? The roller coaster is just a ride that you take, you have fun on, and then you leave. So you could view it like, if you're going to get on the ride that is like the Kanye stuff for a little bit, please don't close your eyes. Yeah. So just like enjoy even the brief time that you have with me. Yeah. Or if you're going to take the ride, like if you're going to get on this ride with me and we're going to, like, it's the deep end, right? Like we're diving in, let's go. And like you're deciding that you're on this with me, like please don't close your eyes. Like, you know,
right.
Like we're going to approach this with confidence, eyes wide open. I need someone that can be on my level again. It feels like a reiteration of like, you need to be like able to handle this.
Yeah.
In a den of thieves, every man disguised, which, man, I love that so much. It's just like, cool. Thieves are duplicitous people, and usually they will con you. It's not just like thieves rob people, but they often just don't like come up with a sword and are like, give me your stuff. It's like they can trick you often and make you think that there's someone that they're not, and then suddenly they've like stolen everything from you. So just in a den of thieves, like you can't trust anyone because they're all in a disguise.
Yeah. These lines really do, like this, I guess this whole verse really is what made me think it doesn't just have to be about a woman necessarily, and that he's looking much more broadly, and maybe just speaking to, you know, like the younger people in this album who are becoming part of the music industry, or just coming into the world period, and recognizing all of the ugliness of the world and how daunting it can be to make change. And this is just kind of saying like, hey man, like just be part of my ride. Like don't close your eyes. Here we go. Like there's we live in a den of thieves. Like there's going to be people, there's always people, whether it's in the music industry and life, that are going to who are just trying to get ahead or wear a disguise. Just remember what the mission is. Like, you're here with me and we're just going to go for it. Like, all that stuff seems to be applying here in the second verse.
Yeah, like that would be the way to extrapolate what Den of Thieves refers to, right? Like the world at large, like the music industry, right? Like, or just the world is a den of thieves, and like people are pretending all the time to like be your friend, to be your confidants, but they're in disguise. So you should also keep your mask on, right? Don't like give away who you are so they can take advantage of you. Like, maintain a bit of a distance. Keep it henatized, which I mean, yeah.
This line, I don't know. I guess I actually don't even know what he's saying. I mean, it does sound like he's saying henatized, but I don't know if he means Hennessy or if it's I just don't get this line. We should have talked about this before.
Yeah, I'm listening to it right now. Keep it. Yeah.
Henatized. I mean, I guess it's a play on Henny, right?
I mean, that was the thing that jumped out to me. Like, he obviously doesn't want to say, like, I mean, he wants to say sanitize, keep it sanitized, but that doesn't go with the flow. So, disguise, henatize, hands inside. Remember this advice, like evangelize, henatized. So he's kind of trying to stick with the theme, and sanitized doesn't. Right. I mean, evangelize and sanitize kind of go together, but yeah, keep it henatized. You would think Hennessy. I saw like this poor person on Genius try to say that like what another piece is hand sanitizer, and the main ingredient of hand sanitizer, ethanol. The main ingredient of Hennessy, ethanol.
Yeah.
One is actually able to sanitize with Hennessy. So like maybe. And this is the way to sanitize while gaining the most clout points. So like, yeah, sanitizing with alcohol makes you look cool. Maybe.
Maybe it's just like, if you're into industry, like you drink Hennessy, like you just have to be part of the party going on, I guess.
Yeah. Like that's part of like, you got to keep your mask on. You got to like drink with everybody, mingle with everybody, which is kind of funny because like keep your mask on. Also, when this album came out in the middle of the pandemic, right? When people are having to keep their mask on and hand sanitize. So it's like keep your mask on, like sanitize, but also keep your mask on, like you got to pretend, and like you got to drink as part of the party. All
right, I like that. It could also be, and this might be a bit of a stretch, but hear me out here. Hanatize could be referring to Sean Hannity.
A little bit of a maybe, hopefully. That would definitely be a surprise.
God, I hope not.
You just want chaos. You're team chaos in this situation. But it's a roller coaster. Keep your hands inside. Yeah, which just things get crazy, right? It's ups and downs, like loop to loops. So keep your hands inside because that's what they say on the roller coasters, right? Like keep your hands inside at all times. And there's that story of I don't know if it's just like an urban legend at this point. I swear I remember seeing a news article about it back in the day, but I thought it was at like Cedar Point in Ohio, or Six Flags in Ohio, that a guy dropped his hat on a roller coaster, so went back in, jumped the fence to get it, and when he got the hat and stood up, it was one of the roller coasters where you're hanging by the harness.
The Batman.
The Batman. Was it, right?
That's what I remember, yeah.
Yeah, and somebody kicked the guy in the head, and like the head took off like a football. That's how fast they were going. But that's what can happen, Yeah. So if your hand goes outside, it might hit something. Horrible injuries can occur. So,
you may catch a bird or something, and you kill that poor bird.
well, the bird might just impale your hand. It's like beak
Absolutely
pierces your hand.
Or you're going by another roller coaster and you give someone a high five and it's cool.
But both of your arms tear off, and then the arms are just like interlocked in a high five while on the ground still twitching.
And then they memorialize those arms, and you can like go see it, and it's a reminder that you shouldn't do that on roller coasters.
They put them on display, imitating the handshake from Predator between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers.
Yeah, that's what they do.
I think that might have been too deep of a cut there.
New again.
I know you get it, but
oh yeah, I'm just gonna say this. I was thinking of not doing it and just moving on, but Lauren and I do the Predator handshake often. We'll give each other a look, and like we know it's happening, and we'll just walk up to each other and do the Predator handshake.
I can picture the look on each of your faces too, and just kind of like the mild stomping you do towards each other, because it has to be like a macho like approach, and then just like,
and we hold it for a while like they do in the movie.
Yeah, beautiful. I feel like there's gonna be some like Seth Rogen comedy now where he like somebody like puts their hand in the air on the roller coaster and a bird impales their hand and just like the beak goes through the hand and they're like, oh my god. They have like the bird sticking out of their hand.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we'll sue you.
I'm gonna sue though if that happens. I want points on that movie.
That's right. We want points on the gross,
at least credit, writing credit.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, thank you, Seth. Thank you, Seth. So just stay safe, right? You keep your mask on, you keep it sanitized. That's all part of when you're being on the roller coaster, like the safety precautions. You gotta like play by the rules. Right. So people want to bring your pain. Remember this advice. So if you're bringing your pain into this relationship, remember this advice. What they vandalize, he'll evangelize. He gon' part the tides, he gon' part the skies. Did it for the fame, remember this advice. Which, do you think, I get like the first part of like, what they vandalize, he'll evangelize. Like what the public tears down, what the public graffitis, what the public labels, God will convert. Evangelize in this, it's not just, people will evangelize, like preachers will evangelize, people of the church will evangelize, which is usually like preaching to you about why you should join the church or why like God is great. But in the actual definition, to evangelize is to convert. So like God will convert you. So any of these things that are damaged by people, right? What the society disvalues or devalues or damages, God will convert and make holy and like make it new again, essentially. So it's essentially like through this just public destruction, like you can get saved. And he gonna part the tides, which is a reference, I imagine, to Moses. That guy. And the evacuation of the Jews from Egypt, from Pharaoh specifically. And Moses was having the Exodus occur, right? He and all the Jewish people were leaving, and then Pharaoh's like, no, come back, and starts chasing after them. And Moses like puts his staff on the ground and parts the Red Sea. And Moses and his fellow Jewish brethren like go through the waters, go through the sea to the other side, and then the sea crashes back together, dividing Pharaoh from the Jewish people. So it's probably, I'm guessing, a reference to that. So like he will make a way for us, like he's going to part the skies, like he'll get rid of the rain and the storm, like all of this, like it'll be okay, essentially. But did it for the fame. Remember this advice. I don't think I know what did it for the fame means here.
It's because I was going to say, it sounded like you were questioning these lines and then you just like explained them completely. And I was like, it sounds like you get it.
No,
but yeah, I think
yeah.
I feel like it's just going on to a new thought. Like, remember this advice, and he like gives all this advice, and then he comes back to this person like, oh, you did it for the fame? Like, remember this advice. Like, no matter how you're coming into this, remember like the reality of what is, and that God is a part of everything, and you're part of God's mission. I guess that's what it would be.
So you did this for like one reasons, but it's going to become something else. Like maybe like, okay, you did it for the fame's getting overwhelming and you feel like you're getting like vandalized, and it's just like, well, remember what everyone else vandalizes, like he'll evangelize. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was like positive like that or like a negative, like, oh, this girl that like flexed on me just did it for the fame. Like that seems like it's not right.
Yeah,
right?
Probably not. But there could be some truth to that. Like, oh, you did it for the fame. Like, well, remember this. Like someday, you know, because when you just do stuff for the fame, like someday fame's gonna rear its ugly head, and you realize it's not all it's cracked up to be. Like, remember this advice. So maybe it could be that as well.
Oh, and this is in the context of him saying, if you take the ride, please don't close your eyes. So it's almost like, okay, if you take the ride and you did it for the fame more than the love, remember this advice. Like, or when this all gets hard and you didn't do it because you love me, you did it for the fame. Like, remember what they vandalize, he'll evangelize. So maybe it is coming back to like the person that he's talking to and being on the roller coaster with him. But what were you going to say?
Well, he says when he gonna part the tides, and yeah, obviously that's a reference to Moses, but Jay does refer to himself as Moses earlier in the album. So is he talking about Jay here?
I don't think so, but
okay. I want to make sure we cover all ground.
I like the callback. He does talk about Moses earlier. Could you imagine? He's just like, every time I mention God on Donda, I'm actually talking about Jay-Z.
Yeah, and when I mention Jesus, I'm talking about me.
Yeah. So do with that info what you will. And then Jay-Z did start a whole company called Tidal.
I mean, just saying.
Is Ye saying that Jay-Z is going to break apart Tidal into smaller entities?
Is that why Jay called it Tidal?
Oh, wait. I know you're probably kidding, but I'm now actually kind of wondering, because Tidal's whole thing was like, we're giving the artists like the power. This is for the artists that are going to have a larger cut. So could it have been called Tidal because he's literally trying to lead artists out of like Egypt?
Wow. You
probably not.
I like it. No, let's go with
probably not, but okay.
Let's update the Wikipedia page.
You should just start
citation needed.
Oh, we could just cite our own podcast.
Oh, there you go.
There was a guy that I can't remember if I told this story on this podcast before, but there was someone that won an election in Germany, I think it was, or like a smaller country, like Bavarian country kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And is that the area that like Bavaria is the area?
Sure.
Anyway, like the area around Germany, and the dude had like 9 names. It was something really long. It was like Charles Schwarzkopf Schleisenhauer, Bootsmeyer, Kogenfeld, da. And somebody went into the Wikipedia page like right as the guy won, or right before the guy won, and added in another name. And it was just like completely made up, but kind of fit since the whole name was so large and a little ridiculous. And by the time that Wikipedia said citation needed, he was able to pull up all these websites that had just gone to Wikipedia taken the name and published the name with the extra name and refer to those articles. So because there was a citation, the people weren't easily able to make the change. And it actually became something that had to get like escalated to the higher ups of Wikipedia to confirm, because their own rules ended up getting duped by this guy that just kind of like tricked the system and tricked like the world press into publishing that this person that won the election had 9 names when in reality he only had 8.
So let's start this title rumor, and then we just have to contact the people we know at Complex, at Forbes. I know a couple guys that write for Forbes. All we got to do is start writing these articles and use those as citations and citate.
All you have to do is citate. Yeah. I just tweet like, did you know Tidal, like Jay-Z named Tidal because of this? And there's going to be like hot new hip hop is just like,
yeah, they'll go with it.
Turns out. Yeah. It's just happened with like, there was some person named Jason that was one of the first ones to tweet out that Kanye and Drake squashed their beef in Toronto last night. Mm-hmm. And because their name was Jason and Jay Prince's son's name is JAS, some people are just like, oh, it must be Jay Prince's son. And we're starting to report like Jay Prince's son, even though the account had like 1,200 followers and said Toronto rather than Houston. And the rumor just started to pick up that Jay Prince's son was the one to announce that Drake and Ye had squashed their beef. And the person had to tweet out like, I am not Jay Prince's son. Like, y'all are wild.
Oh, God.
So it happens. It just happened yesterday.
Okay. New again.
Okay. New again. Yeah. He can part the skies when they start to lie. Remember this advice. So that's the next thing. Like when they start to lie, like when they lie on me, when they lie about you, when this den of thieves gets going, oh, man. Like just remember this advice. What they vandalize, he'll evangelize. So essentially, like whenever you feel torn down or turned upon, instead of letting this hang over your head and really like deflate you and destroy you, which might be more of what's going on at the early parts of the album, right? Ye starts off in jail and then very quickly gets to off the grid, which it might be something where people are like, how does off the grid like apply? But when you're off the grid, you're getting away from people, you're getting away from society, you're distancing yourself. So you could kind of view that song in terms of this idea that Ye is just like, I hate everyone and everything. Like, keep me away from like all these people that are judging me and trying to throw me into jail and all of this. And then by this point on the album, he's just like, no, I don't need to like be off the grid. I can just go and live my life knowing full well that like what they vandalize, God will evangelize, and I can repent for what I did and like not worry about it and just be made new again, which is why we then go into the chorus coming in at the end and just repeating, make me new again, make me new again, make me new again, which is really a request that's kind of bringing down this power and this energy and kind of starting us on the last arc of this album as Ye seeks to be made new again. Like that's now our end goal. Like I like to think that he's been made new again on this song, but it also feels like it's setting up the idea that he's starting to be made new again. Like now he's saying, this is what I want. And the next portion of, or the next arc of tracks is going to be getting into how that process actually works.
Yeah. And the production's cool here. It really plays into it. Like it completely dips out and we just hear Make Me New Again. And then the music comes back. And that's something we actually didn't note, how the production is it loops. It's like, burn, you know, it kind of fits with the mood and the theme of the song. Like it's always like kickstarting itself and getting going again. It's a cool little cyclical style to the production that matches the words and everything.
Yeah. It's renewing itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Like a toilet.
All right. Oh man. But that's true. That's how toilets do work.
Absolutely. Toilets, we're all grown-ups. We use toilets every day. They flush the water down. It comes back up every time.
You quite literally just use toilet humor. Like
we've done it. Hey, you're the one that said duty earlier.
I know, which was toilet humor, but you just used toilet humor. Like,
yeah, right.
What
That's
an
what
episode.
we do in this show. I know. It was I remember before we started recording, I was like, I feel like this is gonna be a quick one. Little did I know
that I would just drag it on out. Oh, it's an hour and 53 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you did tell a story about a guy who rode a horse through a train station. So,
Hey, it was not a train station. It was a junkyard that randomly appeared in a back corner of Newark, New Jersey, along the train tracks.
Okay, hey, don't get too defensive. I was just trying to track a little.
Yeah, and then I thought we got to Penn Station, but it ended up just being another train station.
And now you're adding to the story.
In Newark, and I ended up getting out and like walking out the front door being like, this is not New York. And I was like, oh no. So then had to turn around and get back on the train.
Oh no.
I'm still in New Jersey.
The armpit of the USA.
See, do you have family in Jersey?
Absolutely not. I would never have family in Jersey.
Well, now you're just making me feel guilty for having family in Jersey. Have you ever been to New Jersey?
No, but I've probably flown over it.
Yeah, you had to.
Does that count as being in it? Like I'm technically in the region.
Yeah, you're vertically. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
So yeah, I have been there. I don't know why you're trying to make me feel like I haven't.
Fair enough. Okay, well then, shout out Stone Harbor, New Jersey. Shout out South Orange, New Jersey. Yeah. Shout out Newark, New Jersey. Shout out Maplewood.
Florida. I won't repeat the nickname, but shout out to you.
And then shout out to Illinois.
Illinois, hell yeah. And Nevada.
Nevada.
So yeah, it's Nevada. People say Nevada, and it drives me crazy.
Wait.
Or is it Nevada?
It's not.
Is that what it is?
I always think it's Nevada, but people say Nevada, and that's what.
How to pronounce Nevada? Here, hold on. I'm gonna get
so
this.
You say Nevada.
Yeah, I say Nevada, and according to this, it's Nevada.
Oh, I say Nevada. I'm
Nevada.
That person.
Nevada.
Oh.
Nevada.
Oh, no.
I actually can't remember what I say anymore, and I feel like this episode has just like warped me, and I've forgotten who I am and what I represent.
You need to find Lauren and remember who you are through a nice Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers handshake.
Yeah, a nice little handshake there, and I'm going to be made new again.
Until next time.
Until the Tell the Vision episode, and I'm telling the vision now, and yes, you do all indeed keep it wavy.
It's loopy.